there is no doubt that VR and mixed reality is evolving at a very fast pace. And couple that with bespoke flight controls which you can make at home, well, then you get an explosive mix of all of this coming together to provide an amazing experience. As you've known from this channel, I've often shown Authentikit flight controls, whether it's the Spade Grip, which I still have by the way, and it runs perfectly still, or the Throttle Quadrant, or recently a Comanche Throttle Quadrant, which I'm going to show in this video today. But what is really cool is that you can look at your real world environment and bring it into the VR experience. Take for instance SIMXR, which is a payware application you can use for the Quest 3. Well, actually, you don't even need to do that anymore because it's free using Virtual Desktop. Something else I'm going to show in this video today. But whether it's the Quest 3 or the Somnium VR1, as you can see here, looking at high resolution color pass-through, it really is the future of VR and this hobby, to be able to really interact, feel and experience your flight controls as they are in the cockpit on a one-to-one scale. But I hear you say, is this really that realistic? Well, don't take my word for it, since the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight actually use Authentikit range of flight controls to work up their display routine before their airshow season. And it's pretty amazing to think that this type of realism is now available to us, sat at home, and you can even build these flight controls yourself. Case in point, checking out a real Spitfire and then going into the simulator with a one-to-one replica Spade Grip. It felt exactly the same as a real thing. And as mixed reality has progressed, I think it's fantastic now that you can see those flight controls exactly where they should be in the real aircraft. So we've now established that Authentikit has produced an amazing array of different flight controls, but something that I've always wanted them to do is venture into the exciting world of general aviation, especially when we've got incredible aircraft coming out, such as the A2A Comanche. Well, in this video today, I'm going to show you a very cool way of seeing your flight controls using Virtual Desktop with this new Throttle Quadrant by Authentikit. Take a look at this. This is a one-to-one replica of the real Comanche Throttle Quadrant, and you can make this at home for free. But first of all, I've got to say the quality of this, considering this is 3D printed, is very impressive indeed. And the scale is absolutely perfect thanks to the collaboration with A2A for providing their CAD files, which has ensured the placement of all the levers are exactly where they need to be. Talking of which, as you can see from this footage, the levers have weight to them and they really feel quite substantial. And you can also use this as a generic throttle quadrant for a general aviation aircraft such as a Cessna 172. As you can see here, I've replaced the brake lever with a carb heat switch, and you can change all the levers to have different functions and features, which is something that gives it longevity and more flexibility. Now, I'm pretty confident that most people that watch this channel are general aviation fans, and I just know that you're going to really want to get your hands on this quadrant, especially as the A2A Comanche is considered to be the best GA aircraft that we've got so far. Now, the great news is 3D printers are a lot cheaper than they used to be, and that's all you technically need in order to get your hands on this quadrant, because all of the CAD files and the instructions are completely free from the Authentikit website. However, if you're not really that confident in printing off all of the parts yourself, or you simply don't have a 3D printer, then there is the Authentikit sister company called SIMXR Supplies, and they can offer a very nice box with all of the parts that you need inside. And what you're seeing right now is actually Mark from the Sim Hangar making his own Authentikit A2A Comanche Throttle Quadrant. So thank you, Mark, for allowing me to use this footage. And if you've never heard of Mark's channel, well, where have you been? There will be a link in the description below. Check him out and give him plenty of subs and likes, because he is the channel for flight simulation. Definitely the best out there. And he's doing a great job too at showcasing how easy it is to make your own throttle quadrant when you just follow the instructions very carefully. And the great thing about the design of all of the modules, whether it's the spay grip, the hub that you'll need to power the device, and of course this new throttle quadrant, well, it's fundamental to the design of Authentikit controls is the assembly process, and a set of design standards are followed to ensure controls can be assembled pretty much by anyone who might feel capable, and you don't even need to do any soldering, drilling, cutting, programming or filling or sanding. It's just screws and putting things together. You might even find it quite therapeutic, who knows. Anyway, let's now have a look at how this all comes together when we look at virtual desktop using the Quest 3 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And the first thing I'm going to show you is how to get that mask set up completely for free without using any third-party software. So all you need to do is go down to the bottom and click Desk Portal. This is in the latest version of Virtual Desktop. Then go to Input and then click on Create Desk Portal. You'll see there that you can then draw an outline, pretty amazing, of any space that you want. So here what I've done is just make a little area where I can showcase the throttle quadrant, and now we're in the sim. And look at this. This just shows you that even the throw of the levers are exactly one-to-one with the A2A Comanche in the sim. That is mind-blowing, folks. Look at this. Completely one-to-one scale. And we're now going to go for a flight to see what it really feels like. Here we go. Come on, catch. There we go. She roars into life. A2A Comanche. What a masterpiece. So here I'm just doing the run up and I'm just cycling the prop there. You can just see it on the bottom of the image that I'm doing that there with the pass through. So of course, if you really wanted to, you could replace exactly where it is in the cockpit, but I wanted to sort of make it offset so you can see both the simulated quadrant in the actual aircraft and the physical device. So now that we're up, we can see that we're at 40 frames per second using SSW. You can see some animals there, very cool. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to basically set cruise power. And I'm going to do this in two different ways. First of all, we're going to go for 24 squared. And if you notice how precise I can be, that's because Authentikit controls use a non-contacting high precision Hall sensor in all situations that call for an axis. By the way, just ignore my play boundary, that's the blue circle. I didn't actually see that in VR, but it showed on the recording annoyingly. But you get the idea here, you can be very, very accurate with this. I'm just now thinking of a way of getting this on my motion rig, because with the haptic seat and all of those sensations together with this one-to-one quadrant, because I do tend to use the A2A Comanche more than any other GA aircraft, it's gonna feel pretty special, that is for sure. So here I'm just doing 21 squared as well, and now backing the mixture off. With that extra weight, it feels really substantial, like I mentioned, and I think that also helps make everything feel very precise when you're moving the levers. It's great to have this in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and it's running really well, I must say. Here in the Quest 3 at 40 frames per second motion reprojection. So in terms of my bindings, I found this very easy, but just to be aware, especially in MSFS2024, that you do need to invert the axis for them to correspond correctly. And that is with the prop, throttle and mixture, and these are my bindings in case you're interested and want to copy them. But I must admit, it was just a 5-minute job, no problems at all. So now it's time to land at Humberside after we took off from Wickenby in Lincolnshire. It's been a pleasure using the A2A Comanche once again in the new sim, especially now that I've got this quadrant. And I can really see me using this not just for the Comanche, but many other GA aircraft as well, especially as the way it's designed, and you can be quite flexible with changing the levers. It really is that all-in-one solution that I've wanted for some time, and this will replace my Bravo quadrant for this type of aircraft. So warning, this landing is pretty damn awful because I am using my alpha yoke, there's my disclaimer out the way, instead of my force feedback CLS60. It's funny, you know, that when you go back to a non-force feedback controller, that your landings become worse again, simply because of that lack of feel. But anyway, in conclusion, Authentikit has done it again, and I'm really glad they've ventured into the brave new world of general aviation. And if you think about it, there is nowhere that I'm aware of that you can actually get a bespoke flight control, whether it is a spade grip or in this case a Comanche Throttle Quadrant. So it's an absolute winner for me, especially when you think about the price. It can be incredibly cheap, insanely cheap, basically free if you have a 3D printer. But there is that option that I'm glad that they've decided to do with SIMXR supplies so that you can get all of the equipment ready, and it's just a case of just putting it together. And in some ways I'd imagine that's very, very enjoyable indeed if you're that way inclined. So now it's time to find my car, and as you can see here I've lost where I parked, so I might be here for some time. But thank you for watching. All the links for Authentikit will be in the description below. They have a full range of different controls, as you can see here, right from the Warbird and now into the general aviation sector, and maybe even something even more exciting in the future. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care, and bye for now.